I'll never forget the day that I overheard one of my students in my youth ministry complaining about our youth ministry. And as much as I felt like that student shouldn't have been spreading negative comments and negative things about our ministry, I had to be faced with that reality that maybe that student really had some things in there that needed to be understood. And maybe he wasn't used like he could be. Maybe I've been ignoring him because of some of the things that I felt from him that needed to be understood. And when it comes down to it, we have our leaders in our ministry that we need to employ and engage and get them growing in the right direction. When it comes to youth ministry, there is a fallacy, and my friend Rick Mills says it like this. He says, one of the 5 biggest fallacies in youth ministry, most teenagers aren't reliable or responsible enough for ministry. And we need to come and realize that they are. And in fact, the question is, whose ministry is it anyway? When it comes to our job as youth pastors, 2 Timothy 3:16, it points out that we are to equip others for the work of ministry. And who should we be equipping? Our own students. We need to give them leadership roles. And to start, as we go down this process of building a student leadership team, let me just make a suggestion. You don't have to give your students a leader title to get there. Give them an opportunity for leadership development and let that leader title or leader role pop up, rise up from them. And so what we'll do right here today is I'll give you some of the how, some of the pieces of the journey, the steps, step by step, to really build a student leadership team within your ministry. Number 1, you're establishing. How do you establish a leadership team? Well, first of all, leadership's more than influence. A fisherman coming back and saying, I've influenced some fish, is really not a win, right? So the actual catching of the fish, I influence some, isn't good enough. In a practical sense, leadership is the process of moving people from one place to another. And while not everybody is expected to lead a Bible study or lead as the pastor of a church, everybody's going to be leading something at some point in their life. They're going to be leading their own devotional life. They're going to lead times with their family. They're going to lead somebody to Jesus. And when it comes to student-led ministry, we need students who lead. And so let's remember that as we go to establish, we need to look wide in our ministry and pick out those students that we feel individually they are showing some signs of being faithful, available, they're teachable, they respond to leadership, they respond to God, and really invite them to a level, a place of development, rather, that they can really develop leadership skills together in community with others that you've also invited out. And I suggest that it's an individual invite. Invite them to be part of a leadership development small group. When they get together, then you equip them. You're giving them the tools, you're giving them the ways to take their passion and to launch from their passion into some purpose that God's calling them to, and walking them through that and living life with them. You know, you may already have a leadership team of young adult and older adult leaders that you meet with in your home, having a meal, hopefully. Well, just as much as you lead with them, lead with some students who are developing their leadership skills. Have life with them, share life, and help them develop into the people that God is calling them to be within your ministry. And don't be afraid as you begin to gather them together and equip them to recognize the leadership potential that they have and individually meet with them and connect with them and let them know what you see developing in them as you train them and equip them. And next, now you want to go and empower these students, give them some role. Those already who are passionate, give them that next step of empowerment. My friend Rick Mills says it in his student leadership book, don't ask for volunteers, help specific teenagers meet the call of God. And so give them roles that God's already set up right in line with who they are. And then enlist them in that role. Give them what that is. Give them that role and keep track of that. Keep them accountable to it. And the next thing, entrust them with that ministry. Really trust them is part of the word entrust. This is their ministry. It's their ministry, and they need to feel that it's their ministry. And last, that's where I come to the word expect. We need to expect they're going to succeed. We need to expect that God is using them in their own ministry to do great and wonderful and amazing things within the walls of your church, and certainly beyond the walls of our church into the schools. So once you're finally relying on these young ministers in your youth ministry, I want to tell you what you can expect as you do. When you activate student leaders within your youth ministry, you're going to see them own the ministry. It's going to belong to them. You're going to see them now begin to encourage others to be part of the ministry. You'll have them even train others in the ministry, and they're going to be finding their callings and purpose, and you'll see a confidence develop in them and God's ability to use them. They'll recognize that. In Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. That verse, it's a wise saying. It's not a promise that whatever we do on the front end as we disciple our kids, that they're going to be guaranteed to follow in. What it is wisdom that when we give a young person the skill and responsibility necessary for their place in discipleship, when they're old, it will never leave them.